Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will learn how to create reels that go viral. I also added few bonus tips and a small gift for you, so make sure to watch it till the end. I have broken this video down into 5 parts. Let's target the easy wins first. We will start with color grading. For that, simply click on adjustment and drag the custom adjustment to the timeline and expand it till the end. I have already added the raw video to the timeline. You will find this along with the other assets in the video description. Click on the adjustment layer. We are not going to do extreme color correction, it is going to be very simple. Firstly, increase the brightness to around 10, 11 is fine. Increase the whites, this can also be till 10. Decrease the blacks to -11. Next, increase the sharpness to around 15. Lastly, let's increase the vignette effect. I am going to keep it around 20. So immediately you can see the impact. In the end, it all depends on you. This is something which I like. If you want to make some changes, you can always play around with this. So this takes care of our color grading. Now let's move to the next part, which is the subtitles. Go to text layer, click on auto captions, select the preferred language, in this case it is English, and click on generate. Within 20 seconds, the subtitles would be ready. Go to captions. Make sure that you are not keeping more than 3 to 4 words in one scene. So I'm just going to correct this. I'm just keeping 2 to 3 words in one scene. If there are some small issues, I'm just going to correct them. This looks good. So now let's change the font and change the colors and give it some effects. But before doing that, make sure that this apply to all is checked on. Click on font and choose the bold font. This is a free font which you can download and install from this website. I'm going to give it grey color. Let's add a glow. Decrease the intensity and keep it around 30. I'm going to take this up and increase the size. The size can be around 13. In some of the scenes, we are not able to see this properly. So I'm going to give it a lighter shade. So we are done with the color grading as well as with the subtitles. Now let's move to the first motion animation. First, I'm going to drag the window to the timeline. Next, we have the person. Let's align it properly. On the bottom, I want to add a black gradient. Click on library. In the trending, you have the black layer. Simply drag that to the timeline, rotate it, and expand it such that it covers the entire clip. Now go back to video, click on mask, and add a horizontal mask. Rotate this, bring this down, and increase the feather. Something like this looks good. First we'll work on all the elements and later on we'll add the animations. Next we have the sun. Drag that as well to the timeline and position it over here and decrease the size. To complete this scene, we have 2 more elements over here. Let's drag it one by one. Firstly, we have the sunburst, and then we have the notepad. Okay, let's now animate this one by one. At the start of the scene, the sunburst will slide up into the scene and then rotate. For that to happen, take the playhead to the start, add a keyframe. Now go 30 keyframes to the right. For doing so, press on Shift and right key. 1, 2, 3. And over here, increase the rotation to 60 degrees. We want this to rotate till here. So simply click on the keyframe and drag this all the way here. Next, go to animation and give it a slide up animation. For the notepad, let's keep it simple. Simply go in animation. In animation, click on zoom out. Now let's make sure that the sun is also revolving. Before we do that, let's trim out all the clips. The scene is going to end over here, little ahead of 0.2 seconds. I'm just going to trim out everything. You can select all and then press delete. Now let's animate the black gradient. Simply go to animations and give it a slide up. Now let's click on the sun. Go take the playhead to the start. In video, in position and size, add a keyframe. Then take the playhead to the end, add another keyframe. In rotate, make this 90. So if you see now, the sunburst as well as the sun will be rotating. Now let's animate the last 2 objects. For the guy, I'm just going to go on animation and give it a slide. And for the window, I'm going to do the same thing. Click on the window and in animation and give it a slide left effect. Let's add a little wiggle or floating effect on this person. Go to effects and drag the play pendulum on top of this. Decrease the strength, keep it 10 and a twist to around 13. So we have completed the first scene. Now let's work on the second part, which is going to be more interesting, in which we are going to animate a door. Let's add the door to the timeline. Give it something like this. Increase the size. Zoom out a bit. Go to adjustments. Decrease the saturation. Keep it around -20. And also let's decrease the blacks. You can keep it around -30. Let's animate the door. Initially the door is going to be over here. But as he speaks, we want the door to open and then reveal the elements which are behind the door. Click on video. Let's play around with the keyframes. Take the playhead to the start. Add a keyframe. Take it 10 frames to the right. Use the same shortcut, shift plus right key. Add another keyframe and then drag this. But make sure while dragging out, you also increase the size. So it gives that feeling as if the door is opening. So I completely dragged it out. It's happening very fast. For it, let's increase the duration by dragging the keyframe. I'm going to keep it somewhere over here. Okay, this looks cool. Let's cut the clip over here and delete the rest. Now let's add all the other elements. Firstly, we have the window. I'm just first going to crop this and then increase the size. We have the guy who is waking up. Let's add him. Increase the size. He can be over here. I'm going to use the same gradient that we had used earlier. Window should be behind the guy. So just going to drag this over here. So it goes in the background. We have the clouds and we have the background behind the window. In order to add that, simply drag the background. This can be under the window. So we have the nice background over here. Let's add the cloud and the trees. And lastly, we have the cloud. Just going to drag this over here. The cloud can come from over here from the left and be in front of the sun. We'll make sure of that when we animate the entire scene. This scene is going to end over here. So whatever is outside of that, we are going to trim it out. Let's add a keyframe over here. We'll need to add the next keyframe in line with the keyframe that we have added for the door. So in line with this, let's add a keyframe over here. So this is the point where we have this image. So before that, when a door is opening, we can minimize the image. Let's take the playhead to the start. In position and size, reduce the scale. The scale can be around 100 and it can be little to the right. So as you can see, it gives you that subtle effect as the door is opening and we can see the character increasing in size. We'll need to do the same for the rest. Click on the window first, take the playhead to the start, add a keyframe. At the same point where you have added a keyframe for the character, that's also added for the window. Taking the playhead to the start, let's decrease the size. The window can be something like this over here. I'm going to again do it for the background. Keyframe, take the playhead to the start, add another keyframe. But over here, we need to reduce the size. For a tree in animations, I'm going to give it a slide right. And for the cloud, I'm going to give it a slide left. Let's zoom in a bit. I'm pretty happy with this, but before we move to the next scene, I want to give it a wiggle effect. Simply go on effects and add play pendulum to the character, as well as we'll add the play pendulum to the tree. Decrease the strength and let's decrease the twist. Same thing for the character. Click over here where you see special effects. Decrease the strength as well as decrease the twist. Initially the cloud won't be here and then the cloud will pass all the way from over here till the end. So I'm going to do one thing. As it comes inside, let's add a keyframe and then go to the end, add another keyframe and take it all the way over here. So that takes care of our second effect. So we have now two more animations remaining. The next animation is in continuous to this one. It's going to be very interesting. Initially, we'll change the color of the tree and we'll also add the moon. So it gives the effect of a morning turning into night. Again, let's add the characters one by one. First we have the moon. I'm going to place it over here. Let's expand the tree. We are going to use the same tree. The animation is going to last till here. So I'm just going to drag everything. Same thing with the moon. So let's add the character. Take it one layer up. We need the same window. Let's adjust the moon accordingly. And from morning, it's going to become night. So I want a black background. Go to library. Simply drag this to the timeline. Rotate it and expand it to fill the entire scene. The tree, it can be on the left. Let's increase the size of the moon. As well as let's increase the size of the sleeping character. And lastly, I want this black gradient also to be over here. Simply click on it, press Alt and drag it. This will create a copy of that. Now let's start with the animations. For this clip, we need to give it a fade out effect. Go to animation, in out, click on fade out. Let's adjust this black clip below this, somewhere over here. So that when it becomes fade out, we have a black clip under this. Click over here. Right now, if you see, this is a video. So you cannot expand this over 5 seconds. But if you want to do that, simply right click on this, in edit, click on freeze. Delete the rest. Bring this over here and expand it till the end. Right now, the tree is yellow, but at the night falls, we want it to turn grey. In adjustments, click the keyframe for saturation. Take the playhead to the right by around 20 keyframes, add another keyframe and decrease the saturation. Let's do the same with the shadows. Add a keyframe over here, decrease the shadows, go back, add a keyframe for the shadows and bring it back to 0. So as the night falls, the tree is slowly turning grey. I'm also going to give a grayscale to the window, somewhere around here. Add a saturation. To the right, add another keyframe and decrease the saturation. I'm going to keep it around -26 and also increase the size. Add a keyframe for position and size, increase the scale around 193 and increase the scale. I'm just going to keep it around 190. For the moon, let's simply give it a slide in effect. Go to animation, in animation, click on slide down. And for the person, it can be slide left. And for the person, it can be slide left. And for this last guy, in out animation, let's give it a slide down. And for this person, in animation, let's give it a fade in. And this guy should come on top of this. So I'm just going to drag this one layer up. It can come something like this. So that takes care of our third animation. I'm pretty sure that you would have learned many new things in this. Make sure that you apply those in your own videos. And finally, we are left with just two things, the last effect and the clock animation. Similar to how we did the initial three effects, for last one, we are also going to drag the characters first and then we'll give effect to them. Firstly, I have the background, then I have the girl, can be over here. Next, I have the mountains. Those will be behind the girl. So I'm just going to place this layer over here. Let's increase the size of the mountains. Then we have the bushes. Click on them, rotate it. It will come above the tree. This will be the top layer. Let's add the tree again. And I'm going to increase the size. Keep it something like this. Then we have the sun again. Let's drag the sun. The sun can be over here. Let's add the cloud as well. Can be over there in the background. So it will go in the end. Can be over here. Let's zoom in. And let's adjust the cloud. This pretty much completes the frame. Now let's animate all the elements. First, let's see where this effect is going to end. It's going to end over here. So I'm just going to cut over here. Now select all the layers and press delete. The animation will start from over here. Just drag all the clips to the start. Now let's start with the cloud. For the cloud, add a keyframe position and size. Go to the end, add another keyframe, and now drag the cloud all the way to the right. Let's work on the mountains. For the mountains, it's going to be pretty easy. Initially, let's add a keyframe. Go 10 frames to the right. Add another keyframe. Simply take this down. Same thing for the girl. add a keyframe, take it 10 frames to the right, add another keyframe, going back to the first keyframe, reduce the size a bit, and then also drag this down. For a tree, we can bring it from the right to the left. Go to the start, add a keyframe, take it 10 frames to the right, add another keyframe, drag the bush one frame to the right so that it comes gradually. And lastly, for the sunlight, let's give it a rotating effect. So rather than creating it from the start, I'm just going to delete this. Initially, we have already created it. I'm just going to use the same one, copy this, bring this over here, and then paste it. Increase the size of the clip and then drag the keyframe as well. Rather than 90, we can now keep the rotation as around 120. Actually, let's make sure that sun is coming from outside. Add a keyframe where we have the other keyframes. So add a keyframe over here. Let's bring the sun in the scene. Go to the end, add another keyframe, and just simply increase the rotate to around 120 degrees. Make sure that you properly trim this down. Let's give a wiggle effect for the character. Simply click on the girl. In effects, drag the play pendulum on top. Decrease the strength as well as decrease the twist. I can do the same for the tree as well as for the mountains. Just click on tree, decrease the strength, keep it very subtle. Around 7 is fine. Even the twist can be around 8. Same thing for the mountains. Add the play pendulum, decrease the strength as well as decrease the twist. So this is looking really nice. Finally, we are here. We have completed all the parts and now we are left with the last part, which is the clock. Let's work on it. I'm just going to drag the clock over here. Decrease the size. I will remove this hand in Photoshop. I also have the clock hand. I'm going to crop this. Only the hand remains. This is very important as we'll be rotating the hand. Click confirm and then again reduce the size. So this looks good. Firstly, we need to bring the clock into the scene. Go to animation and just going to add a slide up animation. This can be over here and I'm going to rotate this. We'll need to do the same thing with the hand and keep it over here. Let's now also animate the hand. Add the same slide up for the hand. Okay, so they are moving in sync. So when he said 630, the hand should move to 630. In order to do that, come over here, click on the hand. In video, let's add a keyframe, 10 frames to the right, add another keyframe, and rotate this. So see, it's looking something like this. When it says 6, it is on 6, and when it says 630, it moves to 630. We don't have, similar to After Effects, we don't have the anchor point in Capcut. That is the reason we are not able to be super precise, but this will work. After this, we need to remove the clock from the scene. Do a cut over here. Same thing with the clock. Don't delete this, them over here. For the clock, in adjustments, I'm going to decrease the brightness, keep it -8, as well as decrease the shadow, but it gets that antique effect. Click on both of them, create a compound clip, take the keyframe over here. In video, add keyframe in position and size, take the playhead to the end, add another keyframe and take the clock down. Over here we again have the clock. This time let's bring the clock over here and again rotate this so it comes this way. Let's also adjust the hand. The animation is going to last all the way till here. I'm just going to expand this. Let's trim it at the start. Firstly, we need to keep the hand on 1030. Let's move this. Keep the hand over here. Let's add animations. In animation, let's add slide up. Same thing for the hand, add slide up. And it is sometimes it's 11, we need to keep the hand on 11. Let's just keep the playhead over here. In video, add a keyframe. Go 10 frames to the right. Add another keyframe and now rotate it and keep it on 11. Again, over here, we need to bring it on 10. Another keyframe. And now rotate it and keep it on 10. I know this is not precise, but we can adjust this manually. Let me show this to you once.
Waking up these days around 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. I'm trying to go to sleep by about 10:30 p.m. Sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 10.
So we have completed all the effects and the animations. So before moving to the bonus tips and your gift, let's see the final result.
What does your morning routine look like at the moment?
I'm waking up these days around 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. I'm trying to go to sleep by about 10:30 p.m. Sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 10. I make a beeline for sunlight, so I'm going to get sunlight in my eyes. The single best thing you can do for your sleep to get natural light in your eyes early in the day.
So as promised, here are 2 bonus tips that you can implement starting today. The first one is storyboarding. Storyboarding will give a lot of structure to your videos, and when you finally start editing, you will spend a lot less time. The next one is simplicity. Sometimes the core message which the speaker wants to give gets lost when there's too much happening on the screen. Make sure that you give the first and the foremost priority to the message. And finally, for your gift, I'm giving access 50 plus motion, paper and texture backgrounds that will help you make your content go viral. If you love this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to know how to edit like pro YouTubers, you can check this playlist. And I will see you in the next video.